So the coronavirus relief package passed in the House on Friday. All right, and it was largely written by Nancy Pelosi, senior Democratic leadership. That was to be expected. That's not why I'm making this video. All right, I'm making this video to create a nice little case study for you guys as to why progressives are bad at politics, why they don't know politics, and why if we are serious about expanding this movement and actually creating progressive change, we are going to have to become better at playing politics. All right, so let's dive into this. What is the coronavirus relief package? What was in it? All right, now I'm not going to sit here and paint this bill like it was like, oh, terrible, terrible, oh my God, terrible. But it had some good provisions, but mostly it was a huge middle finger to the progressive base, a huge middle finger to the country's priorities, to our priorities, to the basic fact that working families need aid instead of crumbs. So let's go ahead and dive into this. So you had a couple of good provisions. You had expanded unemployment benefits, and then they extended that all the way until January of next year. That's good. Then they had an extra round of direct payments. Why not a UBI? But okay, an extra round of direct payments. They even expanded it and said, all right, if it's a two-person household, you each get $1,200 and then $1,200 more for each dependent, up to 3. Okay, that's good. But then, what was not in it? Why is there not a UBI? Why is there not a UBI? When 66% of the country said, yes, we support a UBI for the duration of this crisis, even a majority of Republicans said they support a UBI for the duration of the crisis. Why is that not in here? Why is a UBI not in here? That makes no sense. A direct payment, as you all continually keep going on breaks, is not going to be enough to stop the bleeding of millions of families across the country. Oh my God. Okay. Then what's actually in the bill? That's $1 trillion for state and local governments. They're just going to throw it. Here you go. $350 billion for local governments. $500 billion for state government. Here you go. What? You're just going to leave it up to... Just give them just a blank check and just say, hey, go. See what you do. What? No. Instead, why not spend a huge chunk of that money that you would be spending towards giving and bailing out state and local governments? Why don't you use a huge chunk of that money to bail out working families directly? Okay. Then you also had crumbs for small businesses. The SBA ran through $300 billion in a matter of days. They threw $10 billion at the problem. Oh my God. Then they gave another $10 billion for food stamps. Another crumb. And then they had a nice little sneaky provision in there. They snuck it right in the middle of the bill. They said, hey, we're going to repeal the SALT cap, which is just another giveaway to the rich. It's just basically it repeals the cap on the amount that you can that you can federally deduct from your taxes. All right, so your federal taxes, it repeals the cap on how much you can deduct. It's just a giveaway to the rich families. It's absurd. Then they added funding for COBRA. That's another giveaway to insurance companies. Basically, if you've been laid off, COBRA allows you to say, okay, I'm going to have, if I lost my employer-sponsored health care, I can now go to COBRA and get jacked up in more expensive health care for literally double the cost. Where some families are now paying tens of thousands of dollars under COBRA. That's how ridiculous COBRA is. That's how little... That's how, completely ineffective COBRA is. Okay, so then it's like, where is the universal coverage? Right? Why can't we do what every other developed country has done? Why can't we already have universal coverage in place? First of all, square one, why can't we already have universal coverage? Then, if we're going to go through a global pandemic, why can't we have universal testing? Universal testing? No? Okay, how about make sure it's free testing? No? Okay. How about universal coverage, right? How about we make sure that if you get the virus, at least you can make sure that you have coverage and it's not going to be busting your paycheck and you're going to actually be able to pay for it and you're not going to go bankrupt. No, none of that. Not humanity. Not like a humanitarian policy. Not like, oh, something that the rest of the developed world has done. Not, oh, something that actually saves lives. But no, you're not going to do that. You're going to throw trillions at the problem but not handle the basics. It's absurd to me. And this is the main problem. With this bill, what Nancy Pelosi was trying to do was say, I'm throwing $3 trillion at the problem. We're solving the problem. And then throw crumbs here and say, we gave to small businesses, we gave for coronavirus testing, we gave for food stamps, but then act as if, yeah, we're progressive champions, when in reality, it was a massive waste of money. It was not spent efficiently. It was a complete waste of bureaucracy. When in reality, if they'd implemented real progressive legislation, like Pramila Jayapal's Paycheck Guarantee Act, you would be able to see real change. You'd be able to see millions of families saved from economic ruin. So in Pramila Jayapal's bill, she's a progressive congresswoman, all right? And in the Paycheck Guarantee Act, she was pushing for months like, hey, Nancy, we really want this in the bill. We need this in the bill. Please, please, please. We want to be able to, and it has 92 co-sponsors, by the way. And in this bill, it's saying if a company goes under, they're going to cover up to $90,000 of their workers' compensation. The government's going to cover it. It's essentially putting the economy on freeze, saying, hey, you go under, we got you. All right, we're going to cover up to $90,000 of your workers' compensation. All right, then we're going to cover your rent. We're going to cover your basic expenses. We're going to cover your workers' health care costs. We're going to make sure that you're good. And this is what Germany has done, what Denmark has done, what Canada has done, what the UK has done, what Singapore has done. But in the United States, no, never. Actually ensuring that our people can have a livelihood, actually ensuring that our workers don't starve, actually ensuring that small businesses don't implode, never. It's absurd to me. But then their number one priority at the start of this, what was it? Bail out the huge corporations. Give them a blank check and say go. And we'll even give control to Steve Mnuchin and the fucking corporate thugs of the Treasury Department. But in terms of actually giving to working families and putting the economy on freeze in a humanitarian manner when you're the richest country in the history of the world, never. Never. And by the way, this progressive legislation was more cost effective than any other crap that they put forward in these past round of coronavirus relief packages here. So it's absurd. No UBI, no moratorium on rent and evictions and foreclosures and utility payments, no universal testing, no universal coverage if you get the goddamn virus, none of that. Nothing humanitarian. We're just going to give you crumbs. We're going to give you crumbs, we're going to give you bureaucracy, and we're going to be able to say, as our opening bid, hey, we threw a lot of money at the problem. It's ridiculous. So now, you have this, right? And you would think, maybe we'd be, like, they'd be up in arms, right, progressives? They'd be so up in arms. All the activist groups, they'd be rioting. they'd be quarantine rioting, Zoom rioting. They'd be going off, right? You'd assume it's going to be an armed resistance. They're not going to stand for that. Certainly won't vote for the bill when it has none of our priorities in it. Nothing that actually the country says they support. No, of course not. Here's how progressive congressmen and women responded. Here's what they did. They wrote a letter. Pramila Jayapal, Mark Buchan, the co-chairs of the Progressive Caucus, and then some co-signed on to it. They wrote a letter. It was a strongly worded letter saying, hey, Nancy, can you please, halt actually putting the bill to the floor? We need time to reassess. What? And then a leading progressive organization came out and said, we support this bill. It's not enough, but we have to deal with it. Progressive organization. They came out in support of the bill. This was their opposition. This weak opposition. Oh my Jesus. Wow. This is the opposition? This is the opposition. No coordination, no media blitz, no utilizing the public narrative. When the public agrees with the progressive solutions to this crisis, the public wants a UBI, the public wants universal testing, the public wants a moratorium on rent and evictions. They want real progressive solutions. Why not use the narrative? Why not hit a media blitz? Why not do publicity stunts to grab attention to this cause? Why not stand as a united coalition and say, we're not going to allow you to pass this bill until you listen to our demands? But no, in the end, one progressive member of Congress voted against the bill. One progressive member of the House. One, it was Pramila Jayapal. But the rest bent the knee. And I've come to their defense before, right? With the first round of the relief package, I came to the defense saying, hey, we have to stop being naive and understand that this is not how exactly these things work, change is slow moving and it's up against a rigged system, blah, 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 blah. No, man. This is absurd. We're on the fourth, the fifth, whatever this is, the relief packages. And they still haven't put in any one of the progressive priorities. And keep in mind, this is the opening bid. They're going up to a Republican-controlled Senate. None of this is actually going to get passed. At least most of these revisions. At the very least, you could not pre-compromise the compromise. But no. And at some point, you have to stop bending the knee. At some point, you have to give more opposition than a little weak-worded letter saying, hey, can you please stop it? No! Don't bend the knee. And this is the problem. They don't know how to play politics because they are too afraid to wage war with the Democratic Party establishment. Because they don't accept that this is a war. This is a conflict. They are not your friend. Nancy Pelosi is not your friend. Because Nancy Pelosi is a corporatist neoliberal. Nancy Pelosi does not want progressive solutions to this crisis. She doesn't want a UBI. She doesn't want universal coverage. She doesn't want a moratorium on written evictions. She doesn't want real solutions that give from the bottom up. That's not how Nancy Pelosi's mind works. She wants corporate handouts. And that's exactly what her leadership has shown. She gives crumbs, she gives lip service, but she doesn't give real progressive action. So, it's time for you to wage war. Hold it hostage. Don't allow the bill to get through. Don't allow the bill to get through. You coordinate. You come together. You link arms and you fight. Use the public narrative because we are on your side. Nancy Pelosi is unpopular. Nobody likes Nancy Pelosi. But you know who likes you? Millions of your Twitter followers. Millions of your devoted progressive base, but millions of young people across the country. You are popular. And most of all, your policies are popular. Use that. Hit the media. Blitz it. You think they're not going to allow on progressive members of National Congress to come on and speak their tune? Of course they will. Blitz the media. Use publicity stunts. Get out there and grab attention, grab headlines. And soon the public will be on your side. But they don't know how to do it. They don't want to do it. They're too afraid to do it. They don't want to buck the party line. They don't want to do that. Because then that's their ass on the line. Then they're going to be scolded because then Nancy's going to come right back and hit them in the media too. Since it's not a progressive media, they're going to hit them. But you got to hit back. That's how this works. It's a war. But they don't want to accept it. They don't want to accept it. Activists do it too. I think it was the Working Families Party. It was one of these huge progressive organizations. They came out and supported the bill. What? You're bending the knee. You're not getting out in the streets. You're not holding rent strikes. You're not having national opposition in the streets through action. You're having a lot of talk, but you're not acting. You're writing letters, but you're not getting feet in the streets, getting boots on the goddamn activist ground, having your voice heard. You're bending the knee. They do it time and time and time again. Progressives need to understand that we can't be a fringe organization anymore. We can't just be this like, the far left are over there. No. We need to have our voices heard because the fact of the matter remains, the country is in support of our agenda. They were in support of our agenda. We are the most popular politicians, the most popular groups politically in the country on the issues, but also in terms of rhetoric. So utilize that. Build a coalition that can win. You do that through activism. You do that through grassroots mobilization and movements. Then you do that through once you are in, once we have people inside, you don't relent. You fight war. You wage war on the people's behalf. That is the progressive politician's job. That is their job. That is this movement's job, to wage a political war. Through activism, through the outside, and then through the inside as well. We don't get it yet because we don't know how to play politics. We're not utilizing the public narrative. We're not grabbing attention and grabbing headlines. We're not building coalitions. We are not exercising our full potential as a movement. And it is sad. And until we do, until we decide enough is enough, we are a real political force to be reckoned with, until we become the Tea Party on steroids. Think about it. The Tea Party turned into Donald Trump, whether you like it or not. Because they understood how to play politics. They understood the power of the public narrative. We don't. We have decided we're gonna just bend the knee and not wage war. That's the problem. You have to wage war. The Tea Party waged war and it turned into Trump. It turned into a person in the White House. So if we wage war, that turns into a Bernie-style politician in the White House. That turns into progressive change. You gotta commit. You gotta commit. That's the lesson for today.
Chillin' with the boys, yeah, we making all this noise. Can't complain, riding in the fast lane. To the top, we don't stop up till past 5 o'clock. Smoking trees.